Hello, Facebook. I apologize. I have a cold today, so the show must go on, and lipstick does wonders. So you're just gonna have to listen to me with this froggy voice. So, um, welcome to Collaborate to Win. We are a buying group for interior designers. I am Heather McManus. I created and founded this buying group so that I could help myself and my fellow designers to actually make a profit on the product that we sell for a change, and compete with the internet, which is like the ongoing problem. Am I right? So today I wanted to talk to you about how things are constructed and made so that you get an idea of why something might cost more money than something else. And I have a new project that I'm working on that I think everyone's going to be really interested to get their hands on. It's going to be a chart of like hierarchy in the furniture companies. I'll put in some accessory companies and lighting companies in there too. So like top of the food chain, the very best, most expensive, best quality, all of that on down, because there's so many in the middle, and this one might just be a teeny bit better than this one. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about why one is better than another. And I can't cover everything, but I'm going to do my best to give you as much information as I can. So thank you for joining me. So I have worked for workrooms, so I know how things were made because I got to see it from the inside. And when you look at a sofa, all you can see is that outside fabric. And you can tell, actually, if you have a trained eye, you can tell a lot just by looking at something. But it takes a really long time to develop the eye to see when, fabric is acting a little funny. Because it takes a craftsperson to make a quality product. You can't just hire anybody and teach them, in a half hour how to sew something. It's just you have to have qualified people making things, and that's a tradesperson that is really honed in on their craft. So I did get to see how things were made at the workroom, and then I went to I worked for Ethan Allen for a couple of years, and they do a great job training you on how things are made and how to sell. So that was a fun experience. Those hours were crap though. So then I went to another furniture store that was family run, well known actually in New Jersey. And when I go to High Point, I get asked, how are they doing? Because it's, they were in business for over 80 years and third generation. So I started my own business about 7 years ago. So all of that knowledge has been just so beneficial to me when I talk to a client, because I have that knowledge that they don't have, because how are you going to do that without the experience and education and stuff? So I find selling product easy because I know how things were made. So I can explain to the client, well, this is a better quality because XYZ, and this is why you're going to pay this, because that saying, you get what you pay for, it is not just a saying, and that applies to absolutely everything in your life, from your dishwasher to your car, to furniture, just absolutely everything. And things are not made the same as they used to be. It seems like companies cut corners more and more frequently, and it's really sad. But that's how it is. So, like your grandmother's furniture was made really, really well, and it wasn't considered like top of the line high end. It was just everything was made to last. And now, unfortunately, we have this like mentality of just throw it away. Like, this cell phone is now 3 years old and I can't get it to update. So this amount of lead is going to wind up in a landfill, and that's insane. But that's the world that we live in now. So I figured I'd start by telling you some about upholstery. And I had the ability to go and see some manufacturers, actually take the tour. So I went probably, I think this is like 10 years ago, to Hickory Chair, and I graduated from their Hickory Chair University. That was back when the company, before they ever got bought and sold and then bought and sold and all that stuff. So now they're owned by Century, and it's really a different thing. But back then, they were one of the higher price tiers that sold real quality, and they did a great job of like walking us around the whole manufacturing plant and seeing how absolutely everything was made. And you get such a better feeling when you're there experiencing it and smelling the wood and talking to, you know, the guy that's worked there for 20 years, and he just, you know, that's all he does is he just makes drawers, and that's his thing every day. So, you know, he's an expert at it. So, so I hope that I can impart some of that knowledge to you. And if you ever have the opportunity to go to these manufacturing plants and see it being made, you'll just have so much a better appreciation and knowledge that I'm not going to be able to quite share with you, just telling you about it. So, so I have some visual aids that I can share. So upholstery, this is, this here is what a really good frame should look like. These are photos I took when I went to Hickory Chair. So what you're looking at here is a hardwood frame. It's maple, not pine. Pine is a softwood. It's okay. You'd rather have a maple or harder in your wood species, because that frame is just going to last forever if you make it right. Then you've got your, actually this photo kind of gives you the, I don't know if the sun is going to behave here. This is from Stickley. This is their diagram of just how much wood is in there. And then you've got your springs. Over that goes layers of thin fabric and foam. And all of the springs do different things. So this is a great diagram of 8-way hand tied. That's in the seat. So, so each coil is sprung, you know, a little tighter on the edge, a little more give in the middle to give you that really comfortable seat. And then on top of that, you've got all these different grades of cushions. And when I tell you that, like, absolutely every material that we're talking about has different grades, there are cheaper springs that you can buy. There's cheaper foam that you can buy. There's more expensive. There's, you know, all of these things have pricing and quality. So here's a diagram of some different options of seating. Oh, there you go. Okay. So your basic is the one up top here. So you've got foam in the center, and foam can come really firm, medium, and soft. And there's probably even categories within that. So usually they go for like a medium firm, and then they put Dacron over that. That's that white stuff that you might use at Christmas time to make it look like a little Christmas village out. That's Dacron. And then over that should go a cotton ticking. Now the cheaper companies won't do the cotton ticking. They just shove it in there without it. So it's going to move around and get misshapen, and the smell's going to seep through, and that's a whole thing. Because these cushions and some of the fabrics can be a little toxic and smelly. So so that's just a whole other issue that I'm not even going to get into. But so then the next one you got might just be a softer foam with the same Dacron. Softer foam. Very slight difference. I honestly didn't notice the difference. We did a butt test one day at the showroom at High Point to go sit on this one and sit on this one and sit on this one and see how each cushion feels. So my personal favorite that I find the most comfortable and the most like across the board, no matter, you know, what your back issues are, how you feel about, you know, softness and whatnot, I always prefer the spring down cushion. So this has a little bit of spring, then foam, and then down. So you've got kind of the best of both worlds. And what the spring does is it makes the cushion last a little longer. And when you get up, you don't see your butt mark in there. It kind of keeps that crown shape. So I really do like the spring down cushion across all the manufacturers. Sorry. And I'm doing better, actually. Okay, your next higher up, a more expensive cushion is going to have a softer foam. Maybe it's a medium density foam and a whole bunch of down. And this down works well when you're fluffing it. You need to work at this. You need to like fluff those cushions every day. So if you're not interested in working that hard to make your sofa, one, look good and sit well, don't go for down. And then the final plush package has just even more down. It's just even more fluffy and whatever. And the more down you put, the more fluff you got to do. So so that's your seat cushion that goes on top of that. And then you've got sinuous coils. So that's these this here, zigzaggy coil. So it just does this. Now, some companies, instead of doing all this 8-way hand tied in the bottom, they'll do sinuous coil on the decking, I think they call it. It's the bottom part where you're going to sit. Now, what that does, it's not necessarily bad or worse or anything like that. It might be good. I know Flex Steel uses that, and some of the like really contemporary frames use that, because then this big board down here, this right here, this doesn't need to be that thick because it doesn't have this big coil that's going to take up space. So when you have a really clean, sleek, low profile, they're going to use a sinuous coil because it doesn't take up all that space. So you can design it a little better. And you know, I don't have a problem with them. I think they're pretty good. But again, if you're buying from a cheaper company, they might use cheaper metal for that same coil system. They might not strap it down as hard, so that it could kind of come apart and wind up being very uncomfortable within a couple of years if they don't make it properly. So that's the main basics of how different upholstery can be made. And now, sorry. Okay, so the hardwood frame does a lot, and you got to make sure that that they're doing every step properly, and you have no way of knowing that other than like reading the company's history. Do they care? Does it sound like they care in their marketing and stuff? Because the humidity of you have to have kiln dried wood to actually have it keep its shape and form and not dry out or be funny. So this gets into where it's made. If it's made in the US, it's going to pretty much across the board, wherever you are shipping it, have that same sort of humidity in when it's being processed. If we're buying something from a tropical, like Vietnam has tropical weather, so there's a lot more humidity. So when it comes to, say, New Jersey, where I am, and I've got the heat on in the wintertime, the humidity in my house is very different from what it was in the factory. So that wood breathes, and it's going to have some movement. So you got to try to keep things away from the heaters as much as possible. A well done manufacturer over there keeps that in mind, and they're keeping their warehouses at the right humidity at all times. And I think I heard at one of the I went and saw Zimmerman chair last summer, and they said 60% humidity, I think was what it was. I didn't write it. I don't have it in my notes in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it was something like that. So they keep their warehouses while they're building things at that humidity, so that when it comes to your house, it didn't sit. It's almost like if you're not doing that, you're like sticking it in a barn outside, where the temperature is just going to make the wood do all kinds of wacky things. So so there's just so many things that you cannot see when you look at furniture to see how it was made. But these things should be mentioned in their literature, or you can ask your sales reps, about how they're sourcing their wood. Is it kiln dried? Are they keeping their warehouse at a certain humidity for the process of making it? Okay, so another thing about price point and upholstery is the more money it is, usually the more options you have. Like one of my favorites is Sierra Lane, and they have like 1 billion options of customization, and each one is going to cost just a little bit more than your standard frame. So if you want to go like crazy with nail heads or top stitching, in the beginning of the price book, you've got all your different ways. So you can space the nail heads or have them closer together. You can put trim in the back or not trim. They've got all these cool, this is very popular right now, all these stitching instead of welt. So there's 1 million options. The more expensive something gets, the more options you are able to add. That's the beauty of it, is that you really make it a unique custom piece that's just for that client. So that's pretty much it on the upholstery. So case goods is a whole other issue. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. So this, again, gets into the wood species that you're using. That has a huge part in what something's going to cost. And again, you need it to be kiln dried. They need to keep that warehouse wherever they're building it and storing it at the right humidity the entire time. If you think about it, like, okay, so something got made beautifully over in Vietnam, and then it's on a ship, whatever that, weather is, and then it's going into a container, and then it's getting into your warehouse, and God knows, like the humidity ranges in all of these places. So I've had like a kitchen chair show up with the back is cracking off of other things because the humidity was doing funny stuff. Maybe in transit, it was probably fine at the factory. It was probably fine somewhere else. And then at some point, the pieces of wood aren't sticking together anymore because of that humidity. So I have some wood samples to show you. This is just one ring from one company. They have so many options. So what I like about this company is that they're really spelling it out for you. So this is, I don't know if you can see, Renaissance on maple. So a lot of people know maple can also be a color finish choice, right? You think of it as something that looks like this. It's like a lighter color, blondie kind of color. Oh, I need more water. Sorry. So you've got maple as a tree that people make wood out of, and then furniture out of that. You've got cherry. You've got oak. You've got all of these things. So don't confuse your wood species that they cut the tree down and make the lumber with the finishes. So your clients don't know this stuff. You guys got to know this stuff. So you tell them, because this company, this is from Zimmerman Chair, they have, this is an oak finish. You can tell just by the grain. and this is called stonework. So I like it when a company names something that is off the wall like that, because it's not trying to call itself, I don't know, gray. Because if the client says, well, I didn't know if I wanted gray, but I do like that, so I'm not sure now, they'll get confused. So it's actually better when it doesn't like call itself something that they're thinking in their head. It's like, do you like this one? Then this is the one. So, and then there's different distress levels. And distress is when they literally beat the furniture up for you ahead of time, like jeans. You know, there's cost more money to beat your jeans up to get that worn in look, because it literally takes them more time to do it. And there's that. Okay, so what else I was going to go over? Okay, so all right. So while I'm showing you this, these have this. I mean, it feels almost like fabric when you run your hand across it. It's so silky smooth. They get that by sanding the crap out of it. Okay, they got to go with all different grades of sandpaper over it and over it and over it, like way more than you ever thought. That gets sanded to death. Then they put the finish on, and then they'll put another layer of finish on, and then another layer of finish to build it up. And it's like a tattoo that goes into your skin if it's done properly. If it's not done properly, it sits on the top as a thin little layer, and then any scrape or scratch that piece is going to get, the raw wood underneath is going to show. So that's the difference in price with case goods, is the finish, the sanding, how smooth it is, how much finish is on there. And this is the thing, you just have to know what that company's process is. Is it just right on top? I mean, Ashley Furniture doesn't even bother. They have a sticker that looks like wood. It's disgusting. If you get that stuff wet, it's going to turn into sawdust again. I mean, that's the disposable garbage. It's not even wood. It's like make-believe. Okay, so that's the sanding and the finishing, which is so important. And if they're not doing that finishing stain right, it could look kind of cloudy. And I've seen some companies where I look at stuff and you can tell in the corners if it starts to look a little cloudy, they didn't really do a good job. They're just sort of like and go. So the more time they take with the piece, obviously the more expensive it's going to be, because you've got a quality craftsperson, not just Joe Schmo who's getting paid $10 an hour to be there and spray something. So that's that. Now I have a picture, but I have even better is an actual drawer. So this photo is the bottom of a drawer, and a drawer in whatever it is, a nightstand, an end table, a whole dresser, is what really makes the price go up, because one, there's a lot more wood, and the amount of labor it takes to make a drawer, huge. You guys have no idea. If you haven't seen it done, you can't even appreciate it. Okay, so to make a drawer, you've got your face, okay? Now, this is a piece from my bedroom. I have the Ethan Allen Country French, and this is probably 13 years old at least. So this is my sock drawer. So we have, you can see, hopefully, dovetail in the corners. That's something that you want to look for when you're doing your shopping. Is it dovetailed? And a lot of people will kind of do an okay job and make you think it's a better quality by just making it look like they did a nice job on it. There are, and I can't explain to you what's good, what's not to look for this, other than to look for it. It's not everybody even bothers. Okay, this top piece goes just about all the way to the edge. If you've got a cheaper company, they can short it by going, say, with the drawer space that's like here. so that every drawer is just a little bit smaller. So they're going to save 50 whole cents by using less wood. And, you know, that's something that they do. Now you'll notice here, this is pretty thick. So a cheaper drawer is going to have thinner wood on the side. This back panel, that's a pretty good sound. If it's a little more hollow than that, it's probably garbage on the bottom. And, you know, when you put your jeans and your bulky sweaters in there, it's just going to pop down, right? Like, I think as a kid, that was all of my furniture. I couldn't even get my drawer open. So this is also sanded properly. So running my hand on here, I'm not getting a splinter because they even sanded and finished the inside nicely. This is quality pieces. That's what you need to look for. And that's how you can explain it to your clients. This little guy here, that's a drawer stop. So if you're in a hurry in the morning and you're just like, boom, it doesn't go flying out. It only goes to that last point. So you can't, so in order to get the drawer out, you have to lift a little bit to get it out. Then the very important, this is a wood glide. This only has one wood glide. The more high end you go, the more glides you got. So you might have side glides as well. Now each drawer is fitted for the box that it's going into. So this is number 2 in a drawer of 5. If I tried to put this back in the 5 slot, it won't work because this was made for that one. That's what craftspeople do. And I think I saw some like notes from the guy somewhere. Oh, this is number 2 in the series. Oh, look here. It says 2. I don't think you can see that, but there's a little stamp that says 2, so that they put it in the right one because it won't fit in another one. And that doesn't mean that it's made badly. That actually means that it was made by a guy who knows what the hell he's doing. So this is going to fit in perfectly in that one slot, that one piece. And it glides beautifully, even with this wood glide. And these are corner blocks, so it's a little stronger. The ones at Hickory Chair had corner blocks at every place. So back in the corner here was a corner block. There's corner blocks here. So it's just strengthening. It's another step that takes more time, and so therefore it costs more money. But that piece is going to last forever. Stickley has some great stories about furniture that went through a tornado, and the dresser flew out of the house and landed somewhere in the field next to a tree, and they were able to just pick it up and put it back in with minimal damage to the finish. That thing withstood the tornado and being thrown out the house. That's quality. That's something that, I mean, really, if you're like, oh, but I don't like this finish because it's not popular anymore, that's a piece you refinish or you paint it or you do something. You don't just get rid of those things. So what else? I think that covers the drawer and the wood and things like that. So I think I've kind of covered why things are better. And I'm sure I'm missing, you know, different factors in there. But that's the basics. So if you ever get a chance to take a tour of one of these facilities, do it. Go see how things are made, because it helps you in the conversation you have with your client. Even if it's not necessarily the company that you're going to sell all the time, you can have at least a place to start and relate it to company X because you saw company B. It really is beneficial. Oh, thank you, Beth. I'm glad this was helpful. I don't know if this is basic, like everybody knows this, and you're all going, well, of course, duh. But I think my background is a little bit unique in how much time I've spent selling furniture. And, you know, because your livelihood is very much connected to that, you better know it. So so that when somebody walks in and they say, you know, this is my budget and I'd like something that lasts, you know, for X amount of years, then you can bring them over to the right products. So, so that's that. And oh, happy Valentine's Day. I totally forgot. So I hope you guys have a very romantic evening or weekend or whatever you have planned. So thank you so much for tuning in. And next week, I'm not sure what I'm going to even talk about, but there's so much. So if you have a suggestion that you would love to know more about, hit me up and we'll discuss. So thanks for joining me. Happy Valentine's Day. And sorry about the froggy throat, but I think I'm actually healing, so it's going to be fine. Okay, bye.